Okay, so it's gonna be like a 5-part video because I only get a minute now. So okay, that's me in the picture. We basically threw a party in April. I didn't know it was gonna get out this big. Got worldwide news. Wendy Williams was talking about me. BET, MTV, Complex News.
Hey, the story time that everyone has been waiting for. This is my son. This is my oldest son. And he threw a party in honor of one of his friends who was a victim of gun violence here in Chicago. There's a lot of gun violence. He decided to throw a house party with a few friends without my knowledge. I am a first responder. I was working a 24-hour shift, and I noticed that my Ring doorbell had been acting up before this even happened, but I noticed that my Ring doorbell had just went out. My oldest son, he had a key to my house. He would go over from time to time and let my dog out, make sure my dog was being taken care of while I was working a 24-hour shift. So I had just purchased a brand new townhouse in Galewood, and I would never, being an essential frontline worker, I would never condone this during the pandemic, because I was at work and I was seeing it with my own eyes that people were dropping like flies. For people who don't believe that in the pandemic that it did exist and that it was just all hoopla from the media, I'm here to tell you with my own two eyes that people were dropping like flies. It was the hardest time for a lot of nurses, paramedics, EMTs. It was very difficult. It was a very difficult time for us because people were really dying and families were really affected really bad from this pandemic that we had. And I would never, ever condone this many people in my house. So let alone it's not a pandemic. I don't want this many people in my house, period, because through my job, I'm somewhat of a germaphobe. My friends have made fun of me saying that my house looked like a museum. Like, no, this, is gross. So he said that he invited a few people, like maybe 10, and it ended up being 200 people. And one of his friends was recording a video, and that video went viral, and it was everywhere. So I'm at work for 24 hours. I come home. I get off at 6:30 in the morning. I come home in the morning, and nothing is out of place. It did not look like it was 200 people at my house. I'm exhausted because we are getting a lot of calls. We're running 24/7 nonstop. So I get off in the morning and I get to the house and everything is in order. I noticed a few things out of place, but it was nothing alarming or anything like that. I'm exhausted, so the first thing I want to do is go to sleep. So I go to sleep, and then I wake up to my doorbell ringing, and there's two police officers there at the door. So before the police came, I remember when I was at work that night that a couple of firemen was talking about a party that had went viral. It was starting to go viral, and they was talking about it on social media, that it had started to go viral. And I was thinking to myself, that's so dumb. That is so stupid. I heard about it briefly, and I was just thinking, not knowing that it was me. I did not know that it was me when I said that. So the police came to the door, and they was like, were you aware that it was a party here? And I'm like, no. So they showed me a video, and I had a TV mounted over the fireplace, and amongst the people, I was able to see where the TV mount was was still there because I removed the TV, but the TV mount was still there. And that's how I was able to recognize my house, because the police showed me a video that one of my neighbors had showed to the police. I was shocked. I could not believe it. I could not believe it. I was shocked. I was hurt. I was disappointed. Needless to say, I couldn't go back to sleep. And after that, that's when it all started. That's when it really, really got real. I had my son at 17, and I was a teenage mom. So we grew up together. My mother mostly raised him because I was going to school. I was trying to make a better life for me and him. And I missed out on some things as a result of that. And I always carried this guilt with me. So as a result of me feeling guilty for not always being there for him, I coddled him, and I spoiled him, and I tried to make up for me not being there. And as a result, I was taken advantage of. Our relationship has never recovered from this party. Never. It hasn't been the same. So now the media is relentless. I cannot even get outside of my front door. The media is everywhere. My phone is ringing off the hook. I feel like a prisoner in my own house. It was like one of the worst times of my life. And then I started to be harassed. People saying that I knew that my son threw that party, that I gave him permission to, which is absolutely 110% false. Outside of this party incident, it was already a difficult time for me and all essential workers. It was a very hard time because we had to be isolated from our family. Like, I couldn't even be around my family. I couldn't see my grandson. That was very difficult. We had to be isolated. We were being isolated from our family during this time. So that was difficult in itself. And then just seeing the traumatic experiences and the traumatic calls that I was first witness to, privy to at work. It was a very difficult time for paramedics, for nurses, for doctors. So me and my son's relationship, we've made some strides, but it's never been the same. We used to talk every day. We were like really, really close. But ever since this incident, our relationship has just been different because I had to cut the cord. I had to let him just be him totally on his own without me always being there to catch him. So this party affected my workplace environment as well. Of course, when something is going on with you to this magnitude, when you walk into a crowded room and people get quiet, you already know what time it is, which is fine. That's just human nature. So I don't hold any ill will, anything in regards to that. So this party affected my relationship with my son. It also affected my workplace environment and dynamic. I used to be a very involved person with my employer, very involved into all of the things, just trying to help make the job a better place. And I was put through the ringer. I'm not going to name any names or blame anyone, but I was put through the ringer. So as a result, I just go to work and I come home. I don't get myself involved in anything. I don't go to any parties. I don't do anything. The only thing I do is go to work and come home. I went on Facebook and I unfriended 1,000 people that was my co-workers because I don't need that many eyes into my life, especially with people who I don't trust. And it's not to say all. If it doesn't apply, let it fly. But yes, that's why I just had this attitude. Like, I had plenty of friends before I came to this job, and I'll have friends when I leave, but I don't come to work to make friends. I come to work to do a job. So that is my story time of the worst experience of my life that I had to go through, and it was a difficult time for all of us. Shout out to all my essential workers. And by the grace of God, none of the 200 people who was at that party got sick or got coronavirus. Go figure. So let me summarize this whole incident with this party and my son. At this time, I was operating in sheer disobedience to God and the Holy Spirit. I was doing things that I should not have been doing at the time. I was living my Proverbs 7 era. I'm now on the precipice of becoming a full-fledged Proverbs 31 woman. But at the time during this party, she was Proverbs 7. So I was in a relationship with a married man. Yes, he had been estranged from his wife for 4 years, but technically he's still married. So that's a married man, number one. Number two, we had decided that we were going to live together, shacking. No, that's a no-no. I was absolutely arrogant. I was deep into New Age at the time. I just recently went to go see a psychic. I was arrogant. I was prideful. I was doing things that I know I had no business doing. I felt a tug from God my entire life, and He was just tugging, and He was going out of His way to get my attention, and He got it with this party. And I sold the house that I absolutely loved to buy this house where the party was at. I absolutely love this house. When I told my friends and my family that I was selling this house, so many people was telling me no, 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 no. And I believe that God speaks to you through other people. That's the way I feel like He communicates to me mostly, is through other people. And everybody was just like, please don't sell this house. And that ended up being one of the biggest mistakes of my life. I was absolutely operating as a Proverbs 7 woman because I was dating a married man. We were getting ready to move in together. I was a lukewarm Christian. I practiced witchcraft out of my own ignorance. Astrology, tarot, psychics. You cannot serve two gods because you will love one and hate the other. Period. And this is, I believe, what happens when you act in disobedience. But God got my attention. He most definitely got my attention, and that was the start of me changing my life for the better.